What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NFL player props on Prizepicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, we are on a huge hot streak, so if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure you join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,500 just yesterday, and another member who won $1,000 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Kaval Fly, who spammed up the love heart emoji, so shouts out to him. And if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below on this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. Now, I do want to mention there is also the Jalen Hurts 0.5 pass yards pick that I do believe you should definitely add to your parlay. It's pretty much a give me pick. You can add to the parlay, which I think is fantastic. So if you can definitely use this pick, definitely, take advantage of it. So use it when you can, but Jalen Hurts is definitely the one to keep an eye out for. But let's get into the first legitimate pick, and that is none other than Brock Bowers. Now, this one is a fantastic one for actually Brock Bowers for total receiving yards. So this one is a great one for 57.5 and for more. Now, looking at actually Brock Bowers, we actually have seen him go on the over in actually 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, when we look at the 5 games, we do also know that some of the matchups or some of the matchups over the last 5 have actually been from last season. But just to, show you all, December 30th, faced off against New Orleans, actually had 77 receiving yards there. After that, saw them face off against on January 6 against LA. Now in that matchup, it was definitely a big one, but we saw him have actually 50 receiving yards in that matchup. After that, faced off against New England on September 8th and actually had 103 receiving yards. After that, September 16th, faced off against LA again, had 38 receiving yards, and then 38 receiving yards against Washington on September 22nd. So it's definitely been fantastic to see. We definitely have seen Brock Bowers go on the over, as I mentioned, in 2 out of the last 5 games, but as I've mentioned before, only 3 of these games are actually from this season, which is the September one. So technically we have actually seen him go on the over in 1 out of the 3, which is definitely decent there. And looking at the matchup, we do know that we find that Brock Bowers and, Las Vegas Raiders do have themselves a very good matchup against Chicago Bears. So it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup between both of these teams. Now, looking at where both of these teams do lie, we do also know when it comes to, the rankings for both of these teams. Starting off with the Raiders, we do know the Raiders do come second in the AFC West. They do actually have 1 win and 2 losses as their record so far. They have a 33.3% win percentage. They're also 0-1 from home, 1-1 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. Now, they do face off against none other than Chicago Bears, as we've mentioned. And looking at the Bears are finding themselves in a little bit of a more of a different situation, because they actually come last or 4th in the NFC North. So they have definitely struggled. Their record right now is 1 win, 2 losses, so it's definitely been difficult for them. They have a 33.3% win percentage. They're also 1-1 from home, 0-1 from away, and also are currently on a 1-game win streak. So pretty interesting to see there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to actually Brock and also, Las Vegas, they face off against Chicago. And looking at actually Las Vegas, we actually do know that the Raiders rank very high when it comes to receiving yards. We have definitely seen them, really, do a great job as a total team at getting those receiving yards under their belt. we actually do see them rank in the top half, which I think is fantastic to see, and we definitely see that playing out into this next game, no doubt about it. Now, the Raiders do actually rank 5th when it comes to total yards or total receiving yards as a team, as they do actually, have in total 831 yards so far. So they've actually done a fantastic job there, and that's why coming into this matchup for a team like Las Vegas, who do a great job, have the right amount of volume to be able to go on the over, and also against a team like Chicago Bears, who really do struggle at, restricting receiving yards, we should see someone like Brock be able to take advantage of this and go on the over there. So we have confidence in him. When we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the over as well, so that works out in our favor there. But we also do know that his average over the last 5 is also 61.2, which is really good, significantly over the line, and that's why we do also like over the line for this one. So Brock Bowers, 57.5 receiving yards, 4 more, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting to the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than Nico Collins. So Nico Collins, great player, and this one is actually for total receptions for 5.5, and this one actually is for less. So looking at Nico Collins, we do know that, he has actually gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, as we've always mentioned before as well, some of these games are actually from last season, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. But coming into this one, we do also know when it comes to Nico Collins, January 12th faced off against LA, had 7 receptions there. Then Jan 19th against Kansas City, had 5 receptions. Then against LA on September 8th, had 3 receptions. Then 3 receptions against none other than Tampa Bay. And then after that, against Jaguars, we also did see that, he had 8 receptions on September 22nd. So very interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at a team like Houston, they do have themselves a very good matchup. It is definitely going to be an exciting one, but Houston Texans do find themselves in a matchup against Tennessee Titans. Now, when it comes to Nico Collins, as I mentioned, he has gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5, but when you look at the games that are actually from this season, he's technically gone on the under in 2 out of the last 3. Now, looking at both these teams and where they do rank, starting off with, Nico's team, Houston Texans, we have definitely seen Texans find themselves in a very interesting spot, because the Texans do actually rank 3rd in the AFC South. So not only do they rank 3rd, they are tied last with actually Tennessee, and we will get into that in a little bit, but Texans do actually, currently rank 3rd, but record-wise, they both have the same record of 0 wins and 3 losses. Now, it's because of the points for and points against why Texans is the 3rd spot, but Texans do have a record of 0-1 at home, 0-2 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. And looking at their matchup, Tennessee Titans, same scenario, 0 from 3, so 0 wins, 3 losses, 0 from 2 from home, 0-1 from away, and also have a 0% win percentage. So, as I mentioned before, Texans do have a little bit of a better points for and against, but overall, record-wise, both of these teams have lost all their games, and both of them are definitely looking to try to break this streak and finally get on the winning side of the table. Now, looking at Houston, we do know when it comes to Houston Texans, they do like, to have a lot of receptions at times or in past seasons. However, coming into this season, we definitely have seen a little bit of a different sort of Texans team. Now, Texans do rank pretty mid when it comes to, or mid-tier when it comes to receptions. They actually find themselves in the 18th spot when it actually comes to, receptions in total as a whole team. So the volume for Texans when it comes to receptions hasn't really been the highest so far this season, and we don't really see that changing, especially against a Tennessee Titan teams who does a very good job, surprisingly, at actually restricting receptions. So, Tennessee Titans aren't the number 1 spot, but they do rank pretty high, and we definitely see that being enough to affect a team like Texans and Nico Collins, who lately hasn't really shown signs of having a lot of reception opportunities. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the under for this one. And we definitely see someone like Nico Collins going on the under for this pick. So for that reason, keep an eye out for it. Nico Collins, 5.5 receptions for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, also getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about another great player, and that is none other than Chris Boswell. So Chris Boswell, as we all know, great player for none other than actually Pittsburgh. And this one is actually for total field goals made for 1.5, and this one actually is for more. So we definitely have a bit more of over picks for today's video, but looking at Chris Boswell, we have seen him January 5th face off against Cincinnati. Actually had 1 field goal made there. Jan 12th faced off against Baltimore, had 0 field goals made. 2 field goals made against New York Jets on September 8th. September 15th faced off against Seattle, had 3 field goals made, and 0 field goals made against New England on September 22nd. So we definitely have seen Chris Boswell go on the over, as I mentioned, quite, recently, in a sense that when you look at the last 5, as I mentioned before, 3 of those games are actually from this season, so we will focus a little bit more on those. And when you look at those games from this season, we've actually seen them have a record of 2 out of 3. So, for that reason, it's definitely worked out in our favor. Now, Pittsburgh find themselves in a matchup against, Minnesota. Both of these teams have been playing, pretty decent. Starting off with the Steelers, we do know Steelers come in at the 2nd spot in the AFC North. They've done a fantastic job, have 2 wins, 1 loss under their belt, a 66.7% win percentage. And on top of that, we also have seen when it comes to the Steelers, they are 0-1 from home, 2-0 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So it's pretty interesting to see there. Now, obviously, they face off against Minnesota, as we all know. And looking at a team like Minnesota Vikings, it's definitely been an interesting one for them because they find themselves in the NFC North with a record that puts them in the 2nd spot in the NFC North with 2 wins, 1 loss, a 66.7% win percentage. Also 1-1 from home, 1-0 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So definitely interesting to see there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do very much like the over for this one. Now, we are definitely liking this one due to the fact that when we look at actually, Pittsburgh, we have seen that Pittsburgh do quite have a lot of attempts at actually field goals. So they actually have done a pretty good job so far this season. Obviously, it has only been 3 games, but when it comes to the attempts, we have seen Pittsburgh take quite a few attempts, and we definitely see that being enough to see someone like them go on the over. Now, Steelers also have a 100% success rate, field goal percentage so far when it actually comes to field goal attempts. So they've done a very good job, and especially Chris has done a very good job, and we definitely have seen that in 2 out of those 3 games. Yes, we may have seen him struggle or the team struggle against New England on September 22nd, but we should see a very different outcome in this next one. So Chris Boswell, 1.5 field goals made for more, I think is a fantastic pick.